So I'm going to go ahead and just go live publicly while I answer them. I'm going to timestamp them for the private community, although this is a public video, but I owe them answers. So that's what we're doing. I'm going to make myself small and dive right in. All right, so the first question was about a couple altcoins, GST and NEAR. I've looked at NEAR quite a bit. I like to start things off with the monthly. My chart looks awful to look on the monthly. It's a setup for more of a midterm time frame type of deal. This is pretty aggressive. This is a monthly breakout, so honestly, the next monthly obstacle is almost a 2x from here. So now that it's broken above here, the next, that's not much of an obstacle. I really feel that if Bitcoin keeps going up, this next obstacle will be the monthly closures at about $14.50. And that would involve potentially, for example, Bitcoin still going up, but this would have a monthly pullback, which could be as deep as, if it pulls back just halfway, let's say it closes here in 16 days, for example, it pulled back just half the candle and then flipped green. That's a 30% pullback on a green month. And that is super common. Even it's common for the 5-minute candles to the new candle starts, pulls back halfway, boom, that is 33% in that case. So if I were not exposed to this, would I chase this on spot? No. Would I consider writing, like a 1-hour trend or 4-hour trend trying to trade this up? Yeah. But probably not on spot. I wouldn't chase this to get a DCA to try to accumulate in this exact situation right here because it's really taken off at this moment. But trading, to use this as a tradable token on futures would probably, you could probably trade both ways on this, to be honest with you. So, but I don't think that's the nature of your question. You're wanting to know, where's this going? I really think at 1450 would be the next general area. I don't see it being very clear, that area, the monthly area on the daily. So people who trade the daily might make this stall out a little bit before 1450 because the daily has some pretty strong wicks at 1311. So I'm going to go with between 1311 and 1450 for NEAR. And so let's say a 4-hour, actually let's say a 1-hour 200 EMA pullback, which is an aggressive higher low. How far down would that go? Just to show you, if somebody were to ape into this now, I mean, you could have what's a baby pullback, but still be pretty damaged on a percentage basis here. But this one looks fun. You can trade it both ways. It's at the 1-hour 200 now, so that's actually not a bad... I would want to yeah. I still wouldn't ape into this, though. It's been pretty hot. However, from a small-term time frame standpoint, if one really felt that this is just going to go straight up because you're convinced Bitcoin's going to be a bull market, this is not a horrible time to try it, actually, because the way you would want to get stopped out is right below where you're entering, and the amount of risk taking, let's say this 1-hour pullback goes down to here. I mean, you're going to want to be out about 4% after you enter. I mean, that's not that bad. Hey, we'll cover Kadena here in a second. Thank you, Epic Media. So this looks more like if you wanted to trade on futures, this is a good setup, but I would not recommend rocking and rolling to begin exposure at this spot. But if you're already in it and riding it up, I mean, as long as you ask the question, is Bitcoin looking sideways or better? I would be confident that this is its next move. And depending on, so it would help me to know where your average entry is if you're into this, because let's say like you're way in profit, I would recommend putting my stop in profit under a daily type of target, such as look back 1-2 prominent wicks, maybe hide your stop way down here, even though that's way below current price, that's 34% down. But if it's deep in profit, that's fine. So I can't really recommend where I would want to start bailing on this if I were, I don't know if you're recently in it. So adding that type of information to your question is going to help me help you a little bit more, especially if you're already in the coin. All right, so GST, and that's the benefit of Discord too. That's one benefit. You can just say, hey, this is my average entry. I can ask you, I can keep quizzing you. Tell me this, how much leverage do you have? Do you have a stop set already? Wish I could ask you those questions to give you a little bit better info. Korean Satoshi token was fire for a while, went straight up. It's a meme coin. That was the next question. This is insane. Wow. You might have to look at this on the hourly. Wow. There were only 4 buying events. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's it. 4 1-hour candles made that entire pump. It got the momentum of it all for an 11.5x. Wow. I really don't see it. I don't think it's done correcting. The daily, so what I would do on the daily RSI is I would keep an eye out on this, but because price doesn't technically have to fall a whole lot for the RSI to fall, especially after you've been hot. So a lot of times a healthy pullback will bring the RSI, what would typically be bearishly, be pretty bearish, but sometimes price doesn't have to go too far down, it touches, but I would still mark this off because price could really, find support, begin finding support when RSI finds support. However, basically, or to use basic price though, without any indicators, what I would be looking out for, this pullback's probably too deep. I don't even know if this is the right angle, but playing around on this guy, there's a lot of support right in this meat. Damn. Actually, meat to this wick. This wick could actually get the bounce. So here, let me zoom way in. So when you see wicks like this, especially when an asset's young, it's more powerful for whatever reason. It creates more buying/selling decisions than, for example, 4 weekly candles in a row. So I'm going to have to say it could bounce there to the top of the meat of all of this trading section. And what you might find is you might find yourself a nice little green triangle, because that means it should bounce in that area. And I have this all based off of horizontal and rising ascending lines. So, this would still be an aggressive higher low. Look, this is an unaggressive higher low, but going straight up to here, that's still really aggressive. Look at this angle. That's an aggressive angle. It looks like it wants to go touch that. And so after an 11x move, going down 80% is about right. That is what it's supposed to do. After you do a straight 10x with absolutely no pullbacks, you typically pull back 75 to 80%. If you do a 20x, you typically pull back 85 to 90, 85 to deep 80s, 80%, deep 80s. 5x, roughly, you're going to pull back 50 to 60%. So this one, even the rule of thumb, it looks like it wants to come down here. So the price, let me mark it. It might land stick its landing at 3.2 cents. Could wick, down as low as 2.1 in this correction, and then land on top of that triangle. So there are a lot of ways it can interact with this. It could really just suffer bad, then V-shape up and go bam, and at least make a lower high before it makes a higher low, and then try to get above that angle that it creates with the second, with the lower high. So it could end up taking this shape and continuing, but that's a pretty natural shape. So now let's measure the amount of time it would take if it made that natural shape until it's back strong and at the same price. That's 140 days. So when you go straight up 10x, it is not healthy. It's not healthy. All of that would take almost a half a year just to recover from going straight up. But sometimes when you go straight up, the first pullback does not go down as far as it should, because why? It's not the local high from which you need to measure. Sometimes you get a 50% correction, boom, 30% correction, one more, and then 85 to 90. So that's the only thing when it does go straight up. You don't know if the rule of thumb will apply to that local top. It's just from whatever top it puts in, 10x moves without a pullback just almost always go down 80%. Yeah, that's what I would say for GST. I would not. I don't think this is a great time to begin trying to get some of this. And if you were already in it and you're in profit, well, I mean, I'm really seeing that it comes down 40% more before it bounces. All right, I'm going to look at Kadena. I'm doing this before a VIP Discord call. Okay, I'll spend 2 minutes on Kadena. Come on, Tim. Brain cells activate. My target was not hit because Bitcoin did not do what I thought. Honestly, I think that this can stick a very aggressive daily higher low here. I think it needs to come attack these 2 points. I think that's its next stop. Yes, Bitcoin can stop that party from happening. I'll mark it off with exact levels and everything here in a sec. But yeah, this is where it's trying to go before it slows down. And Bitcoin can make it slow down before it wants to slow down too. But if Bitcoin goes sideways or better, then it should not be done. It should tap on, so it should hit the more side, so it'll probably wick above. It'll probably go to 250. That would be a pretty solid target. But if this is sometimes people front run these numbers, so this box actually might not be a bad idea. If somebody were in profit and you're looking to be holding a little bit of flat position just in case, Bitcoin is going to do a triple top because it's absolutely in play. It is falling back into the 15-month channel after going above it in what might be a failure pattern. So let's see here. However, I think Bitcoin has more juice. It really does look like it. But I'm not going to do a Bitcoin analysis right now. I'm answering these questions. So, but in order to get there, go from here to this double support. So you see this horizontal plus this support. Look, they're touching right here. So a lot of times when 2 important lines cross, you have that box crossing with this, it might want to go touch it. Like a kid in an elevator, really. It's sometimes how it works. And if it does happen, you can guess, well, how long would that take? That's 2 weeks out. But in order to get there, it would be exceptionally, this is an aggressive higher low still, right? So 16% down over the course of 2 days, boom, and then go get you some. And if that were to hit that target and go back up, that'd be 70% move. If it starts going up faster than that, which it might, actually this shape, now that I'm looking at the smaller candles, it might not want to go down there and touch. The daily candle body is saying it wants to. This is saying it's starting to accelerate down, but once I look on the inside, it doesn't agree. That's really strange. Usually the smaller candle shapes agree with what the daily candle closures made. Huh. This is saying it might stick its landing right here. It's trying to form a nice horizontal base, and therefore, if it can recover by going sideways as opposed to recovering by gotta get down to get up. It has a chance. So I would guess this. It can recover by going sideways, which still might take a couple weeks. But essentially, what you're looking for is for this next move is it going to want to pull back before it continues, or is it going to go sideways and before it continues? And I would say if it can start, I think if it's going to break out, I bet it's going to want to use these 2 wicks as support and then jump over these wicks here. So I'll show you what I mean. If it goes sideways, I showed you the shape it would take if it wants to come down to that area and then bump up. But if it just sticks its landing here, which it really looks like it might, It's got a damn good chance. I think it would look like, I think it would use the point of control as support and then blast out. I want you to know what it would look like if my guess is wrong. So I think this would be the most probable way. My first guess ends up incorrect, where you see it, and I'll mark this off, so if you want to try to replicate it, you can. That might be a good idea. Whoever asked for did this super chat. I think it's going to want to ride this for a little bit and then make this type of shape, and then perhaps blast over, use it as support, and keep going, and go touch that line at 250. I think it wants to use this as support specifically. And perhaps, I think, even the higher number, maybe $1.80 or so. Because these wicks are a little higher than this box. Maybe I didn't do the box quite right. Yeah, about $1.80. I think it wants to use the $1.80 support and then pop up. So I think that's the most likely way it'll behave, or the second most likely way. BONK. And again, these are questions that I got asked during one of my private live shows for the private YouTube community. And I didn't get gods. I mean, I'm in gods. That's the only thing I am currently dealing with. BONK looks like it's tired structurally, but it depends on where the monthly month began and month ends. Because depending on the monthly, when I flip to the monthly candles, this could be an amazing thing, or it could look tired. I don't know, so I need to go to the monthly. It should be obvious once I go to the month. Or no, it might be the week. This might be too young for the month. Well, shit, that looks pretty strong. The month looks pretty damn bullish, but I think it's going to be the week. It's tired. Okay, so this candle says it's getting a little tired, and you get a follow-up candle red, it's tired. Okay, so if there's weakness in the RSI, you probably need the daily RSI to reset, maybe only the 4-hour. Yeah, so the 1 hour, or the daily RSI, which is the bright green, is getting kicked out of this green bullish control zone while getting trapped under this white line, which is the 12 exponential moving average of the EMA. And usually after you get trapped under there and get rejected, you come at minimum down to the 50 line, usually. And the big exception to that is if you have a very clear trend, like maybe more than 2 points, but yeah, it still would come touch this. So a lot of times when you have an aggressive trend line, it'll go, and it'll try to stop there, but that trend line isn't aggressive, and it would probably touch the 50 line anyway. So I would say BONK is not ready for another move up until the daily RSI has hit the 50 mark or below. It's just very common of all crypto. You get trapped in that situation and rejected. You touch there or the red. Almost every time. It's very, very likely. Especially since that angle is almost there anyway. So if I were in profit on this, I mean, I would consider like moving my stops up under, like, you know, under an appropriate spot, which honestly, if you look left, I mean, it might be this last 1 hour wick somewhere near quadruple 277, quadruple 277. Yeah, it's tired. Okay. So I don't really need to give upside targets for that. Downside targets, let me go to the daily. Honestly, it doesn't need to go down too far. I think it can recover and make the daily RSI hit those targets just by going to the previous highest daily closure, really. And that is going to be at, the number will pop up on the right-hand side of my screen once I hit the magnet button. So it is over here. It is quadruple 241. And that aligns perfectly. Yeah, I think it has a darn good chance of resetting the daily RSI. So it looks like this is where it's going at minimum. Now let me go to the smaller candles to see how it's already interacted with this. And if it cannot hold that level, which it looks, I mean, honestly, there's no reason in the chart or in Bitcoin's chart to think it will not. However, if that begins to change and you need, you know, a lower target because Bitcoin started changing, I would do this. This is a very clear line. I would connect January 8th, 2024 to the wick high of February 15th, 2024. I think that's, I don't know, it's not very far under. This is going to have a lot of support in that area, I'm not going to lie. This isn't a good situation. But it's just not going to go up, in my opinion. I don't think it has a good chance of going up now. I think it's got to recover and then slide up. But on about a 2 to 3 month basis, this might be ready to really scoop up and start trying to blast like 5 and 10x above that all-time high. But I think it's going to take a while. It doesn't look like it needs to pull back at all, though. And if it goes below that area, if it goes more than 28% down, it's probably just because of Bitcoin's pulling it down. It does not need to correct anymore now. That's in a good spot for just making that move. That's a pretty good move. Yeah, it's a 4x. So, I mean, so maybe that's 40%. Yeah, actually, that'd be right. 50% move after 4x. It's because if you do 5x, you usually come down 50%. That's 4x. That's pretty close. That actually all aligns pretty well with rules of thumb and everything. I'll do a gods. All right. You know what? I don't even think I freaking did my timestamps right on this. That's why I'm doing this. Me being silly. All right, and then gods. All right, so gods is what I'm calling a black hole play. It's one of several that I have. It had a chance to really pop, but it didn't take its chance, and now it's okay. I did not place it in my microcaps. I'm gonna go to the month. The month looks really good. This looks like a nice breakout, but it didn't get follow through. We do have 16 days left of the month. So it's possible whatever it's doing in this month, see how that pulsated up, then it came all the way back down. If it's forming on lower time frames a nice, sexy higher low, it has 16 days left. This breakout could really get heated. So it has a chance to have a monthly breakout, and if it does, its next pit stop is between the candle body at 140 and the wicks at 180. That is where this month, I would say around 180. 140 to 180 is its next pit stop. Since this is a monthly breakout over monthly levels, monthly wick, monthly candle bodies, it's trying to get above there, and it's playing with it. So actually, I should mark that off. So it's playing with 39 at 40 cents almost on the dot. I'm going to make it super exact with the magnet tool and a ray gun, or ray tool or whatever. It is, nope, it's 44.20. 44.20, there you go. Put the bong down. All right. Come on, Carl. It's really battling with that line. So really, that's your line. If it can stay, generally, if it goes below, it needs to come back up quickly, and it needs to hover on both sides. But if it can just hang on to this line, then what's happening on the monthly is it's likely going to close strong. But if this can't stay above there, that month it's either going to close a really small green candle, in which that the next one might be red the whole month. It has a greater chance of, or it just has a less chance of having a nice, sexy month. And the next month, though, it could start recovering, but it would mean 14 days. So what I'm saying is, if it cannot stay above here, and it's clear that it won't throughout this month, then the real move won't even have a chance till next month. So from a timing perspective, if you're trying to time plays among cryptos, that's going to help you time. This is very, very specifically a monthly move. It should align with the monthly closure and this monthly area, or this monthly line right here. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, another question from that private live stream, YouTube live stream, is Ondo. I don't know anything about this. The month is decelerating. It's not a great sign. The weekly might look different. It's also decelerating. It looks tired. I would guess that the daily RSI is close to getting booted out of the green zone and has already had 2 lower highs. I'm on the weekly, and I'm guessing that about the daily RSI. Different time frame and an indicator. So let's go see. Ta-da! It's a good guess, huh? Yeah, it's tired. So, but this actually has a damn good chance of making one more higher high, because this lower high on RSI will it's got a darn good chance of poking its head into this bullish control zone. So whenever the 4-hour chart or above, so 6-hour, 8-hour, 12-hour, daily, 2-day, but not the 1 hour. 1 hour is below it, right? Anything 4-hour and greater, if you make a RSI lower high in this area, it's almost always a higher high in price. Sometimes when it just barely touches it exactly, I've seen it both ways. I've seen it be a clear higher high, but I've also seen it be a double top, and I've also seen it being a slightly lower high. I think it has to do with the closures. That's why a lot of times it can be a lower high, because the closures are close, but the wick of the actual high went a lot higher than what this did, for example. I think that's how that happens. So it's not always a higher in price, but it's almost always. So this actually it looks like it's got one more move up to me, especially if it's supported by Bitcoin. So what that would look like, I would probably go to the 4-hour chart. I think it is going to try to pop out one more higher high. It could get really close. I would actually target, so you see how these 2 wick highs here are a very unaggressive line? Right, that wick to that, let me zoom in. Watch. So that wick to that wick, that would be about, if the daily RSI did do that, it might stop there for a lower high and still poke its head into the green zone. But I think it's got a darn good chance of hitting that or slightly higher. And if I could define slightly higher, I would not guess it would follow that high of a trend. I would guess it would be less aggressive somewhere in that area, because I think the RSI is going to slow down. So if it just kept its track, it would bump its head here again, here again, here again, and the RSI is not going down if it keeps bumping its head on that line. But once you keep going up, but farther away from that line, the RSI is making lower highs. That's how a lot of times I know what the RSI is doing, because if it stops hitting that line and it makes a higher high without touching it, that is a lower high in RSI. That is relative strength visualizing without using the indicator. So I think it has a darn good chance of popping into here. And for that reason, it'll be less aggressive than this, but it probably is going to try one more. A nice, a pretty sexy lower high or better. If that ends up being wrong, what would it look like? It depends on how high it gets up there. I would say it might look like not being able to keep your small-term time frames above 54 cents, which are these 2 wicks. So you could perhaps go like that. And once it's up there, if it just starts petering out, then you might forget about that triangle. It needs to use these. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4 wicks. Yeah, it needs to use this as support in order to even. But if it's riding on both sides of that line, it's still probably not going to get up to that triangle. It like going like this is not the greatest. You need to get above it and use it as support. And if it pulls back without meeting my higher that triangle, it's got a ton of support where it's already wicked down to on the daily. It's got a lot of support between 43 and 46. If Bitcoin does not drop, I do not see it going below there without Bitcoin dropping. When Bitcoin starts dropping, you'd have to come back on here and ask me what are lower targets, but as of now, Bitcoin looks pretty good. All right, that's Ondo, and then can I check out VMINT and short-term potential? It's a small cap. Short-term potential looks tired. The daily RSI should be under the EMA. I think it needs to relax a little bit. I think it can poke out moderate higher highs, but I think that this run needs to have a nice, probably a weekly pullback before aggressive new highs. So this is, you probably need to look at this at the 4 hour actually. Yeah, I think the 4 hour is the best way to look at this one right now. After you know what's going on with the weekly. As long as you know what's going on with the weekly candles, then go to the 4 hour. Might be the right time frame. The way I would visualize this move breaking down is like this. So as long as it's in here, it's really just fine. And if it happens to stick its landing here and then creep up that line and start taking this out, I'm going to be dead wrong. And that's the way to look if my guess about it being tired is wrong. It's going to stop here, creep up. It's going to look left and say, hey, I'm going to jump above you, and it's going to hit it hard. But I think it looks like it's got... But actually, no, I think it's got one more higher high potential, so it might do that, but get rejected by the point of control. It does have permission to do one more higher high and then get tired. For the same reason the daily RSI would go below that green zone and do a lower high into the green zone. That would be a small lower high. So I would make your point of control. Because if the, like that, I would visualize it just like that. And the move is breaking down once it cannot use that as support. And then you would look left for some horizontals like this. You want to look for some wicks down, wicks up, make a box between them. That is its first pit stop. If it breaks below here, it would go to there or lower. And that's VMINT. Jewel. Okay, it's on crypto.com is the biggest exchange that it's on. Probably originated on CoinEx or MEXC, so therefore MEXC would probably have the most price history. This is essentially what I'm calling a black hole play. It came out after the 64 and 69K top of Bitcoin. This came out February. This is November. That's April. So it structurally, just the way cryptos like to move, the ones that come out after a Bitcoin high and they were born in a bear market, they almost always go touch their high. Even if they just got crushed 98%, 99%, they try. They try so hard. And a lot of times it's a straight up move. A lot of times it is. And that's why I call it a black hole play, because they came out after the 69K top, got crushed, but for some reason they just like to rebound. So it has a chance to do that. This looks like it did go down 99%. Like, yeah, it's 99.7. That's pretty deep. But you have a damn good recovery. This could have been like a 20x here. I don't know. That's an 10.5x. And then, so look, so here's another rule of thumb. Watch. Remember I said rule of thumb, you go 10x, how far down you got to go? 80%, right? Let's see how this did. What's that? What is that? What does that say? 81. All right. It's just how crypto moves. Hopefully that, if anybody on public YouTube were saying, it doesn't have to do that. It's just what happens. It's just what happens. It's just patterns, and it just keeps doing it over and over among altcoins, especially the smaller caps. This actually looks like a nice higher low, though. I mean, this looks fine. It gotta get down to get back up. I mean, I don't see any problems with this right now. Honestly, let me look at some indicators, but I think it looks okay. Yeah. So that's the weekly RSI getting out of the bearish control zone on top of its EMA. This is really good. This is going to have a damn good chance of making a run on its. That's not a bad setup. You like to see this happen. So the green coming down to the white when it's in this area here, below that and above here. So if you could get this again up here, whoo! But that would take, now you can measure, make a natural shape and measure it. That could take about 6 weeks or so, 5 or 6 weeks. So put some ice cubes on your tits, cool your tits off. I don't think the move will happen tomorrow, but over the course of a monthly candle, I think the month can shape up for a breakout. Yeah, the month is trying to break out above here, but I don't think it's ready yet. So that next move, I mean, if once it breaks, it probably ain't gonna stop till $3.60. It's gonna be a big move. It'll be big. Yeah, that's a 13xer. That's where it would likely go. As long as Bitcoin is also going up with it, that is where it would likely go. Yeah, Jules in a nice situation to consider for like a moonshot / black hole play. It's looking pretty good if you're into small caps. But if you're trying to look for small caps that are going to go tomorrow, in the next 5 days, the most probable ones, this ain't your pick right now. All right, I'm going to look at Aurora, and then I'm going to jump on my, we got John's question. Okay, John, I will get you. So Aurora's already break. So this is what Jules trying to do, but it's just 1 month away, I think. It can do it on the next monthly candle. So this move on Aurora should be going up to about $1.22. It could overshoot that and go all the way to $2.33, $1 higher. Because this is a monthly move. It could get pretty hot here. And again, you need to look at these monthly candles at these moves because we're breaking bear market structure and going into potential bull market stuff. So your look left obstacles need to be on the monthly, but to better define them, which these are probably the same levels that I was talking about. I don't actually know that for a fact, but it looks sure like it. And I'll go back to the monthly. Bam. So yeah, it is the same area. See what did I say? There's a dollar range, right? 230 to, same thing. So it is the same on both. So anybody buying and selling are going to see the same thing on the daily and on the monthly. That is the range. I don't know which one it's going to stop at. It'll probably depend on Bitcoin, but it could easily hit the top, the 230 and land on 120 as support. But I think that's where this move's going. And the way it would get there is just a bunch of 4-hour higher highs and higher lows. And you'll probably stay above the 1 hour 200 EMA or the daily 10 EMA, which is the same thing on Bitcoin. It'll probably stay above that the whole time, if Bitcoin is supporting it. And then we got SEI. So I just did SEI on a Cryptillion call. It is breaking out. Good. All right, so we were talking about this as it was trying to challenge this, and I said I think it's going up right now, and it is. So this target, it should take it to the top. This move should go all the way up here. It could be a pretty big move. So from the breakout point when we were talking about it, it's a double. Yeah, it should go all the way. Bitcoin is looking just fine, and this is just looking really pretty. Like it made a high. It went sideways until you look left, try to take it out, hit the point of control, blast. It usually hits the top when a channel when it hits the top, goes sideways into the point of control, you almost always hit the top again. You rarely get stopped by the 3/4 line. If you can hit the top, go sideways until the point of control. And this is going to be a nice move. And honestly, if you're a futures trader, like considering getting into this breakout, not a horrible idea. Like the daily candle just started. Like you could literally just zoom in here, and as long as the day is green, like just try to stay long. It's a pretty good situation right now. But jumping in on spot, yeah, I think you got a lot of reward for the amount of risk that's in it. I think it's a lot of reward. Yeah, 70% reward still in it. It looks more fun to trade on futures, I'm not going to lie. If you know how to do that thing. If you haven't done that, I don't suggest that at all. I absolutely do not suggest trying to jump into that if you've never done it before. Please don't try to do that. You will lose. You will very likely lose everything you try to deal with it, to put into it. ABT, this is madness. Honestly, see how low this RSI is going and price doesn't go anywhere? Damn, this is a bigger move. Yep, this is on the weekly. So you have to look at this on the weekly. This isn't done. Because all the lower highs it'll make, at least two. I mean, yeah, that's two more higher. I don't think it's done. Wow. So this would require Bitcoin going down. Look, even the weekly stochastic RSI went all the way down, and it's still way up there. Wow. Yeah, this isn't done. Whatever this is, it is not done. Holy, that looks toppy, but it's not done. Wow. Holy shit. Yeah, if I were in that, I would not be scared out. But if I were at a loss in it, if I were in it and recently because I chased the top, I would be a little bit more concerned. But if I caught any of this breakout and I'm in profit, you can just make your stop as long as you're still in profit at 83 cents and just look at it in a couple weeks. Make yourself at a zero risk situation by putting your stop in profit if 83 cents is still in profit. But would I jump into this now? No. On the micro time frames, it looks like it could just stall for a while. But on a weekly perspective, it looks like the week will break out, but that could be like 30 days away. But on a weekly situation, this looks like it is not done. And the bullish pullbacks, it's already doing a nice pullback. So I could see it coming all the way down to $1.23 up to here and be just fine, and then get the next monthly move up. So if you were to ape into it now and it hit that bullish pullback, that's still 20% from current price down. So aping in right now might not be the best idea. And that's ABT. I got to go to my Discord stuff. I'm 13 minutes late. I told him I'd be 10 minutes late. So I'll see you when I see you.